Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and I just wanted to share this wonderful story with you. Now, unlike cable news networks, I'm not going to take this idiotic statement by a leader of a company, take a guess, and make a 3-day run of it. It's one sentence. But I did want to share this with you just to show how stupidly, SJW hyper-liberal, nonsensical, loony Wizards of the Coast really is. I mean, the short version I can give is, it's not like conservative people saying that they're super socially liberal because they like to witch hunt and blow everything out of proportion and, call everybody, like a hyper liberal. Although that is what SJWs do. Like, they go around witch hunting anybody. Like, look what they did to the comic book scene. Oh my God. You cannot release a white male character anymore. You can't do it. That's basically not allowed in comic books now. So apparently, in following with that idiotic tradition, because, well, they're one of the most liberal companies I've ever seen in my entire life. They make Apple look conservative. So Mark Rosewater is on Tumblr, and he runs this thing called Blogatog, which I'm sure is a reference to that stupid old card everybody hated. Actually, I think it was multiple cards. I think it was a tribal. I don't know. I didn't play back then. Anyway, somebody with some serious balls asked this question, and it was responded to and posted or whatever, because I'm sure not every question shows up. He wrote, in regards to Saheeli Planeswalker versus Legend, which I'm not sure what they're referring to there. Maybe some lore I didn't hear about. I don't know. Nobody even knew what the word Kaladesh meant before this. I honestly don't know what he means to in regards to Saheeli Planeswalker versus Legend. But anyway, I think the biggest problem is that she felt like she was just ticking a box on the diversity meter. Now, the funny thing is, it's Kaladesh. I think it was loosely based on India, so maybe Saheeli was Indian. It was hard to tell just by looking at her. I mean, you couldn't just be like, yeah, she's Indian or Pakistani or something, There is no India in freaking Kaladesh. So if they make her a certain color or race from Earth, I guess we'll say, well, not really, I guess. I mean, let's look at somebody who actually has their logic and science together, like Star Trek. Okay, that's a stretch, but still, they got people that are blue on that show, okay? There ain't nobody blue back on Earth. Now, yes, they've had unbelievably stupid episodes where people are just blatantly Native Americans. They're just space Indians. Those were perhaps the stupidest episodes I've ever seen in my entire life. But then you look at, groups from Voyager, like the Kazon, and it's well, who are they? Who are they supposed to be based on? Because every sci-fi has to be based on, a real culture or race or ethnicity or historical period or whatever. And then you go to anime, my God, there's frickin' space samurai. But at least Star Trek, to an extent, got it right the most of the time, where they were just let's completely make something up, mix up 10 different, Earth cultures in a blender and make something out of it. But no, Wizards of the Coast is let's make a Kaladesh person who's from who knows where. So whatever they were going for, let's just say Indian, because the whole damn set was Indian, allegedly, from what I heard. I don't know Indian artwork, but people told me that, so I'm repeating it. I have no idea about the accuracy of that claim. Well, God forbid they make another white planeswalker. Wouldn't that just be the end of the world? Do they not realize that the vast majority of their player base does not give a crap what color or race or anything the planeswalkers are? I don't even care what color or race somebody is in a main character in a movie. That won't affect if I see it or not. I care about the movie. When I meet somebody in person, I don't care where they're from or where their parents are from or any of that. I treat them like how anybody should be treated unless they give me a reason to not. And trust me, people who give me a reason to not treat them nicely, that knows no color or background or ethnicity or anything. Being a complete and utter dick and a terrible person knows no color, trust me. But of course, I had heard from people who've been playing the game a little bit longer, and it does, in a passing check, seem to check out. It used to be all the female characters, planeswalkers or otherwise, in the Magic storyline were supposed to be these sexy, good-looking, stereotypical whatever. And then, of course, all the male planeswalkers were super macho whatever. It was an 80s cartoon. And so, since Wizards of the Coast was purposely targeting men, that was real. I've heard that the staff have stated that. They went after, geeky, nerdy male demographics for the game in the past. Now, why they wouldn't try to get the entire other half of the gender on planet Earth to play the game, and why they would limit themselves to, half the customers, I don't know. But I guess that's who was into their other products. That's who played D&D to an extent. So I guess they just kind of went with it. They're just like, oh, that's who might be interested in. Okay, let's target them. Why would we spend double the money targeting a demographic that may not be interested in the game? And then it turns out they were obviously wrong. There's, I've never heard like females play Magic and be like, oh, this is such a manly game. Like, besides the complaints about the artwork and the characters, there's nothing inherently male about the game other than, men tend to be really hyper competitive quite a bit because of testosterone. But I mean, look at the Olympics, even hyper physical, hyper competitive stuff. Women like that too. I mean, you can't just put people in a box and be like, only men can be competitive. Women hate everything competitive. Hell no, I know plenty of competitive women. So that was a mistake, and so lately, in the last several years, allegedly, they've been trying to include, like, strong women planeswalkers, strong women lead roles, and, storylines and that kind of stuff. And honestly, I still think they're overthinking this. I mean, some of their characters are gigantic dragons the size of, like, a large building, okay? This is a fantasy game. Your game does not take place on planet Earth in current day, because then you'd have to be a little bit careful about who you consistently put in various roles. Like, if you had nobody but men characters, like, that would be really weird and not representative of society. But I mean, come on, like, Ashiok, she doesn't even have a head. Is she even a she? Does anybody even know? Did I just assume her gender? I'd hate to have Ashiok triggered at me because she had some pretty good powers. I'm not even sure Ashiok is technically a living thing. So were they going after zombie rights? No, they were going after a good storyline that has weird sci-fi in it. Like fantasy adventure aspects. I don't care if it's a talking slime ooze, like, whatever. I mean, if you want to make an ooze a planeswalker, that would be the coolest damn thing ever. You know what the game's really missing? Beholders. They're like really clever and chaotic, and I mean, it's like Ugin 2.0, but more fun. I mean, if you guys have never played a D&D game, the lore behind Beholders is just hilarious. Those guys are crazy. But for the human-ish, what's the term they always use? Oh yeah, humanoid. The humanoid planeswalkers and leads and, this and that, like the most important people in the story. It's like, well, let's see. I mean, you had Saheeli, and she's clearly, like, Indian or something from somewhere in that region, maybe. I don't know. But then you got Dovin, who's basically from Avatar. And then, let's see, the Aetherborn, which I really couldn't compare them to a particular culture. I mean, I didn't really read the lore. I'm sure they based them on, like, Russians or something. I don't know. But still, I mean, so it's like, oh, here's this awesome, giant, tall guy with 6 fingers or whatever that's blue. And then here's an Indian person. Like, it almost seems like they're trying too hard. So I think that's where this guy was going with the question. And I know you guys are just dying to hear the answer because I'll give you a hint. It's not what you think. So in regards to Saheeli Planeswalker versus Legend, I think the biggest problem is that she felt like she was just ticking a box on the diversity meter. I gotta mention that sentence is structured so poorly and makes no sense. How do you tick a box on a meter? You'd tick a box on a list. So anyway, they could have went anywhere. They could have made her like an Evan or a snake-headed person or like whatever. I mean, didn't have to be a humanoid, but they did choose that humanoids primarily live on Kaladesh, okay, with the other races, so okay. So what do you think Mark Rosewater's reply was? I mean, it really does seem out of place to just throw in a person of color, some sort of minority of unspecified origin into the game when everybody else in the storyline is not even vaguely human. So what was Mark Rosewater's reply? Well, welcome to 1980s TV commercials. He said, some boxes need to be ticked. What the hell, Mark Rosewater? How stupid are you? Like, I used to like you, but this just took you down from a 10 out of 10 to about a 6 out of 10. Oh, here we go. Next couple sets, we're going to have like a Jewish planeswalker, and oh, God help them if they don't make a black character. I really hope Ixalan is not a Native American ripoff. My God, would that suck. Everything points to it being Mayan and Aztec, by the way. So apparently we're going back to affirmative action level stupidity, which is like they went from racism to a slightly different type of racism. So companies went from, stupid, racist, idiot HR departments, honestly, it was a problem, not hiring certain, cultures, backgrounds, people, genders, whatever. I mean, just about any group. They were just, not hiring certain groups at all. So then it became a law that they had to have a certain number of people from every major origin or whatever. So instead of hiring the most qualified person for the job, sorry, all companies are automatically racist. Their hiring departments cannot be trusted across the board. So if you've got somebody with a master's degree in software programming and they have 15 years experience and they're clearly the best person for the job, oh, sorry, they happen to be Mexican and we already hired too many Latinos. Oh, I guess you have to hire the less qualified person because you didn't get enough, disabled people or whatever. I forgot who was all included in that. It might have just been race. I honestly don't think gender was even included in affirmative action, actually, which is kind of weird. Boy, were people pissed off about that. And if I remember correctly, that law was repealed quite a while ago. They reverted to just, hey, you better not get caught hiring people like that are all white or all this or all that. And then, fast forward to 2017 where you can't work in IT unless you're a H-1B visa worker from overseas. If you're white, you are not going to find a job anywhere. So that's nice. It's not a racism thing. That's purely economic, though, because people from overseas are willing to work for less, obviously. So we've worked past the atrocity that was affirmative action hiring practices. Oh, but no, we've got to bring it back. We got affirmative action in Planeswalkers now. What the hell? Are you serious right now? He's like implying that they actually do have a list and they actually do have boxes that need to be ticked. So forget the dragon planeswalkers, forget the undead headless zombie with a creepy black windsock coming out of their head, Ashiok planeswalkers. Forget anything fun and fantasy oriented and sci-fi and all the cool stuff and cool interesting characters we've never seen before. Nope, they're gonna stick a couple people of every given ethnicity on planet Earth, which is not where the game takes place, into every single storyline. Are you kidding me right now? Are you serious, Wizards? Like, that is so, pandering and insulting and, just offensive to any group. I mean, if in the next set they have, an African-American planeswalker, which I feel stupider just saying that because where the hell is Africa? What plane is that in? But I wouldn't put it past them, so let's just pretend they're going to do it. Okay, they've got an African-American planeswalker in Ixalan. Okay, so what they're saying is in 2017, people are actively pushing out the African-American community in all media products, storylines, books, TV, anything. So they have a box that needs to be ticked to show that they're multicultural and to help the African-American cause. So you making a person of one given ethnicity a planeswalker or important character in a storyline, that's you're helping somehow. Racism is so bad that people are pretending that certain ethnicities don't exist and whitewashing all their products, which is absolutely not true. Have you watched anything on TV in the last 10 years? I mean, this is so backwards. I mean, he's showing that he's an old man. Oh my God. This is so out of date thinking. It's downright racist, for real. If you look up advertisements on major TV networks from the 80s, oh my God, did you have to have one person of every color in that or everybody would go nuts? The pre-SJW SJWs, or pretty much just the media would be oh, that commercial had all white people in it. What the hell? I mean, it was comical. There's YouTube, what do you call it? Compilations of super trying way the hell too hard ethnic commercials. They'd be trying to sell some medication or something, and there's the Asian, and there's the black person, and there's the white guy, and there's that group, and they checked off all the boxes. It was so trying too hard and pandering and just, there's a reason that they stopped doing that after the 80s, okay? I mean, here in 2017, it's oh, you're making a show, cast whoever the hell you want, whoever's available, and just make sure that they're not all from one group or you're gonna look bad. Maybe they should apply that forward-thinking, post-extreme racism. I mean, yeah, it still exists in the world, but this ain't the 1950s. Maybe they should apply that thinking to Wizards of the Coast instead of being stuck in the 80s. For God's sake, the game came out in 93. You don't have to have affirmative action hires as planeswalkers. So some people are going to say I'm making too much of this. He actually said 6 words, but 6 words said a lot. I mean, when people are like, did you guys just throw in some, person from some ethnicity as Saheeli, and like it was on purpose just to be like, hey, look how diverse we are, which is downright insulting. And he basically said yes. He says yes, and some boxes need to be ticked. So get ready for the multicultural league of planeswalkers and characters in the next couple sets, and Wizards trying way the hell too hard to look diverse. The best way I can close this video out is, you know how you look diverse these days? Is just don't be racist. Just sincerely, actually don't be racist, and then past that, do whatever the hell you want. So thanks, Mark Rosewater, for sending Magic back 40 years, progressive-wise. And like, I'm not even like mad about this. I just think it's really funny because it's been so transparent, like not even this level, but close. It's been so transparent that they are trying way the hell too hard to be like hyper inclusive, like not stepping on any toes, like walking on eggshells, SJW level crazy. I mean, they got like the Women of Magic League and just, oh my God, it's ridiculous. They are trying so hard because they're so afraid that any little thing might be seen as racist because that's who works there, a bunch of SJW nutcases. So of course they're going to take some little accidental thing and blow it out of proportion, but then they go and make stupid statements like this, and I blow it out of proportion. Just kidding, I kept it exactly in proportion. I think my response was very appropriate to the ridiculousness of what he said. So if anybody has a copy of this aforementioned minority list that has boxes that, quote, need to be ticked, I'd love to see it. Maybe somebody works at Wizards, you could tweet it at me because that would be funny. I would definitely retweet that. I mean, he implied it exists. He basically acknowledged it. If there are boxes that need to be ticked, that means the list exists. So what do you guys think of all this? Are they just being way too PR and way too, corporate and progressive and trying way too hard? Or are they like secretly racist and that's why they said this? I don't think that's what it is. And most importantly, I mean, there's a lot of boxes to be ticked, so are you guys looking forward to Ixalan's African-American transsexual Muslim conjoined twin planeswalker with crippling depression? At the end of the day, I hope you guys are just like me, where it's not even on my radar what like background or color or fake ethnicity ripped off from Earth in a plane that isn't Earth, that they make any of the new characters. I mean, I don't care. I don't look at Chandra, I'm like, well, she's white. Like, that's the first thing. I'm like, what's her background? Where's she from? What about her plane? Where's the lore? What's the storyline with like her parents and stuff? What are her powers? I don't give a crap what color she is. You could have made her freaking purple. I don't care. Also, one last thing I gotta point out. Basically, none of the characters are fat as hell. As an MHA, moderately husky American, I think that all of their characters have been a little bit too fit. I mean, I'm not one of those fat acceptance people. Those people are delusional. I mean, up until the point where they die of a heart attack at like 40, they are lying to themselves. Healthy at any size is provably false. But did you notice that Chandra's skinny as hell, Gideon's buff as hell, Nissa's really skinny and, good looking. Hell, they haven't even represented ugly people. Well, then again, Ashiok. So, fat ugly people unite. We're, I'd say a minority, honestly, it's probably a majority. But boy, are we underrepresented. We need to start writing letters into Wizards of the Coast to tell them they need more fat, ugly planeswalkers. Even Dove and Bond's skinny as hell. Now, for all I know, the Vidal can have really good metabolisms and none of them are fat. It's actually physically incapable for them to be fat in all likelihood. But I don't do logic because I'm an SJW. Rawr, I'm going to write letters and do angry tweets and make a Reddit about how disgusting it is that all the planeswalkers are skinny. For real, we should actually do that as a prank, guys. We should start tweeting at them, why are no planeswalkers fat or ugly? just tell them we all feel very underrepresented. Then we can look forward to Ixalan's African-American transsexual Muslim conjoined twin planeswalker with crippling depression that's also morbidly obese and not very good looking. I could at least partially identify with that. Well, if that doesn't say how seriously I'm taking this, I don't know what will. So I'll see you guys next video.